The standard stormtroopers formed the backbone of the Galactic Empire's military might. Descended from the Republic's clone troopers, these soldiers represented the transition from the Clone Wars to the era of Imperial dominance. Unlike their clone predecessors, stormtroopers were primarily recruited from ordinary citizens of the Empire, though their training emphasized loyalty and discipline. Dressed in iconic white armor, standard stormtroopers were equipped with E-11 blaster rifles as their standard issue weapon, along with thermal detonators and utility belts containing essential survival tools. While their armor provided limited protection and was criticized for its mobility constraints, it was designed to project the intimidating image of Imperial power across the galaxy. Similar to Star Destroyers and TIE Fighters, Stormtroopers stood as relentless symbols of Emperor Palpatine's absolute power across the galaxy. Despite being known for their less than stellar aim in popular media, Stormtroopers were a versatile force that could adapt to a range of combat scenarios. A wide misconception is that they were the standard infantry unit of the Empire, even though Stormtroopers were technically elite soldiers, while the lesser-known Imperial Army troops were the main infantry force of the Empire. So, in a sense, the Stormtroopers are actually the elite. That is, until they face an Ewok. TK Stormtroopers, or TK Troopers, were the first generation of non-clone Stormtroopers of the Galactic Empire, recruited from across the galaxy as part of the transition away from reliance on clones. Their training was overseen by elite clone commandos at a secret Imperial facility on the planet Darrow, which was established following the success of non-clone soldiers during the Battle of Onderon, in which they burned some civilians alive. So much for success in the Empire's eyes. The crueler you are, the better. This program, hidden from the Imperial Senate, housed the first 1,000 recruits, marking the initial wave of naturally born conscripts. They marked the transition from the Republic's clone army. They wore prototype armor with helmets based on the cancelled Phase 3 clone trooper design, and were armed with DC-15A blaster carbines. Scout Troopers were specialized reconnaissance units within the Stormtrooper Corps, trained for scouting and reconnaissance missions, sneaking up on enemy positions and reporting these back to their commanders. Recognizable by their lightweight armor and distinctive helmets, which offered enhanced visibility and targeting optics, Scout Troopers were often seen patrolling on speeder bikes such as the 74Z model. Their mobility and precision allowed them to serve as both forward scouts and fast attack skirmishers during ground battles. Their training included survival skills and independent operations, making them effective in situations requiring stealth and adaptability. They were equipped with EC-17 holdout blaster pistols, which they could holster in their boots, as well as with the DLT-19X sniper rifles as support during ground skirmishes from above. There are also two subtypes of Scout Troopers, these being the Forest Troopers and Cave Troopers. The Forest Trooper was equipped with modified armor with camouflage patterns and muted green tones to blend seamlessly into forested terrain. Their gear also included environmental adaptations such as enhanced filtration systems for protection against forest-specific hazards, like spores or toxins. Cave Troopers were trained to operate in subterranean operations in caves, mines, and other underground environments. Outfitted with reinforced armor capable of withstanding low light and high-pressure conditions, these troopers were equipped with advanced multi-spectrum visors to navigate pitch-black tunnels and identify threats lurking in the darkness. And again, Scout Troopers are skilled on paper. Well, that is before Disney started writing them, that is. This is so sad to watch. Heavy weapons stormtroopers, or heavy troopers, were specialized infantry units within the Imperial military, equipped with high-powered weaponry designed to inflict maximum damage on enemy forces or fortifications. Identified by their reinforced armor and heavy-duty backpacks for power supply or additional ammo, these troopers wielded weapons like the DLT-19 Heavy Blaster Rifle, the T-21 Light Repeating Blaster, or the deadly Z-6 Rotary Blaster Cannon. They were also one of my favorite troopers to deploy in the mobile game Star Wars Commander. God, that brings back memories. I of course had an Imperial base because Stormtroopers just look far cooler than whatever the Rebels had. You had Black AT-AT, AT-ST, Dark Troopers, Darth Vader. Why would someone ever pick the Rebel side where you get the rusted AT-RTs and almost comically looking AATs? Yeah, going Empire is a no-brainer there. Too bad it's been shut down now, but man was that a fun game at the time. Just look at this.
TIE Fighter, Wraith. I'm just going for the loot right now. Did you guys see all the Snowtroopers?
If you've ever played that, let me know in the comments down below. Sandtroopers were the Empire's desert specialists, adapted to survive and operate in harsh, arid environments like Tatooine. Their standard Stormtrooper armor was modified with built-in cooling systems, moisture seals, and additional equipment like shoulder pauldrons to signify their respective ranks. Sandtroopers carried E-11 blaster rifles but were often also equipped with DLT-19s or T-21s for versatility in the vast desert landscapes. These are also the guys that triggered the most famous line for the competency of all the Stormtroopers.
And these last points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise.
What made them stand out was the weathered, dusty appearance of the armor. Their standard gear included survival packs with rations, water, and navigation tools to help them endure the barren conditions. On Tatooine, they were often seen riding the local dewbacks to get across the sand, and I've gotta say, it looks quite comfortable riding one of these guys. These dewback troopers, as they were called, rode the dewbacks into battle, attacking enemy fortifications and even engaging against rebel attack tanks. Well, that's what they did in aforementioned game's Star Wars Commander. I don't know how feasible that would be in real life. I'd imagine the tank would just blow the dewback and the Sandtrooper on it away with ease. They are also the best looking LEGO Stormtrooper minifigure, I think. Coming with a pauldron, the weathered look and all, that's a recipe for a great looking Stormtrooper. But only the old design, that is, as I really don't like the new LEGO Stormtrooper design. Just look at this. Far worse, right? Jump Troopers, also known as Rocket Troopers, were highly specialized Stormtroopers trained for aerial combat. Equipped with jetpacks, these troopers could execute rapid strikes and engage enemies from above, making them a versatile force on the battlefield. Their armor came in a lot of different variations, either being a variation of the standard Stormtrooper design equipped with a jump pack, or the more well-known version with a specialized helmet with breathing tubes for higher altitude engagements. Their armor often displayed a sleeker profile to reduce drag during flight. Jump Troopers typically carried E-11 blaster rifles or RPS-6 rocket launchers, providing them with firepower to take out any enemy ground vehicle and fortifications. They are also super annoying to play against in the 2017 Battlefront if someone is skilled with them, flanking everyone and easily flying away again. So annoying, but yeah, super effective. Patrol Troopers were a swift and agile division of the Stormtrooper Corps, tasked with maintaining order and responding to threats in urban and industrial areas. Outfitted with lightweight, streamlined armor designed for speed and maneuverability, these troopers were often seen on CPH speeder bikes, allowing them to cover large areas quickly. Their primary role was crowd control, enforcement of curfews, and a rapid pursuit of criminals or rebels within city environments. Armed with EC-17 blaster pistols, patrol troopers often operate as a visible reminder of the Empire's presence in more developed regions. They were most notably introduced and seen in Solo, a Star Wars story, on Corellia, where they chased after Han and Kira on their CPH speeder bikes. Shock Troopers were elite units within the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps, recognized by their red-striped armor. Primarily assigned to high-security installations, they also served as riot control units or personal guards for key Imperial officials. Shock Troopers were heavily armed with heavy blasters, riot shields, and occasionally electro staffs for close-quarters combat. Just like the clone Shock Troopers, they were mostly deployed on Coruscant, serving as the security police force there. The Imperial Shock Troopers' first appearance is most notable in the 2015 Battlefront game, where you could spawn as one of Palpatine's bodyguards being armed with a T-21 before they were replaced by the more fitting Royal Guards as Palpatine's bodyguards. Artillery Troopers, also known as Mortar Troopers, were a specialized branch of the Imperial military. Distinguished by their yellow-striped armor and the equipment they carried, these troopers operated portable mortar launchers capable of striking targets from a safe distance. Artillery troopers were equipped with targeting computers and communication systems that allowed them to coordinate with frontline troops and adjust their aim in real time. Their role was pivotal in prolonged battles where precision bombardment could turn the tide of combat. They first appeared in the episode of The Mandalorian where one was seen launching mortar shells at Fennec Shan before being taken out by Boba Fett in his grand return to the big screen. Well, that was before the disaster of the Book of Boba Fett, so I think calling it a grand return holds true for that context. Snowtroopers, or Cold Weather Assault Stormtroopers, or Snowies, which is how they refer to themselves, funnily enough, were trained and equipped to operate in extreme sub-zero environments like the frozen wastelands of Hoth. Being descendants of the clone cold weather assault trooper from the Republic era, they were outfitted with insulated white armor, complete with thermal bodysuits and extended face coverings. Near the center of their breastplate were all of the controls for the completely self-sufficient troopers' life support systems. The troopers' backpacks were also a vital component of their gear, containing the primary heating unit, power cell, communications system, and a homing beacon. These packs also doubled as power sources for additional equipment. With their suits' internal power and provisions, Snowies could endure even the harshest frozen conditions for up to 2 weeks. Often armed with E-11 blaster rifles, Snowtroopers were a versatile force capable of engaging enemies with these icy terrains. Their units were also often equipped with portable E-Web heavy repeating blasters for suppressive fire. And of course, their most notable deployment was during the Battle of Hoth, where they took Echo Base. Notably, their armor also looks just badass, like trying telling them a joke and he just stands there all silent and menacing. Gives you goosebumps. And so far they haven't been ruined yet by seeing them being terrible shots. Wet Weather Gear Stormtroopers, also known as Mimban Stormtroopers, were a specialized variant of standard Stormtroopers deployed on the swampy mining planet Mimban. Their armor was adapted for the harsh environment with added flexibility for improved mobility. Equipped with E-11 blaster rifles, they also wore bandoliers and waterproof capes, which were essential for navigating the planet's swamps, and just looks great as well, if I might add. As we all know, everyone just looks better with a cape, which is best presented by Batman, Darth Vader, Director Krennic, and of course, Lando. So yeah, Stormtroopers with capes, that's a yes every day of the week. Range troopers were elite soldiers in the Imperial military, known for their resilience. They wore advanced vambrace armor and helmets that combined design elements from Imperial combat assault tank pilots and Shoretroopers. Their heavy armor featured external fur lining and chest plates reminiscent of cold weather assault stormtroopers. Armed with E-10R blaster rifles, range troopers also utilized magnetic gription boots, granting them secure footing on high-speed vehicles like trains, where they could be deployed while these vehicles were still moving, as was seen in the Han Solo movie. Renowned for their toughness, they often regarded other Imperial forces as soft amateurs and less capable in comparison, which is understandable considering they literally are deployed sideways atop of trains moving at around 500 kilometers per hour. That's basically like NASA training for space there. They are also, to date, the most expensive D2C Stormtrooper variant figure there is nowadays, and boy, do I regret not getting them on release, because I was thinking about it when they came out with the Solo A Star Wars story wave, but I went like, nah, they'll be released again in some battle pack. Yeah, that was 6 years ago. Shoretroopers, or Coastal Defense Troopers, were Imperial soldiers trained to secure and patrol tropical and coastal areas. Their tan and blue armor was designed for camouflage in sandy beaches and shallow waters, blending into environments like the beaches of Scarif. Shoretroopers' armor was lightweight, similar to the Scout Troopers, allowing for greater mobility in humid conditions while still offering protection. They were armed with E-22 double-barrel blaster rifles or standard E-11 blasters. Shoretroopers had 3 distinct ranks, each with unique armor markings. Regular troopers wore sand-colored armor with a red band on the right arm and a white stripe on the left shoulder guard. Squad leaders had a sand-blue stripe on their breastplate and shoulders, along with a comma on their belt. Captains featured predominantly blue breastplates, sand-blue left shoulder guards with additional blue and yellow stripes, and limited leg armor for greater mobility, akin to Scout Troopers. A well-known, or perhaps more realistically lesser well-known, former Shoretrooper is Del Meeko, who appeared in the 2017 Battlefront 2 campaign as part of Inferno Squad. Before becoming an elite trooper, he was just having the best time in the Star Wars Galaxy's version of the Maldives. Death Troopers were black armored soldiers, serving as bodyguards and enforcers for high-ranking Imperial officers such as Grand Admiral Thrawn and Director Krennic. Their sleek, matte black armor featured advanced systems including encrypted communication devices, enhanced targeting sensors, and voice scramblers to intimidate enemies and maintain operational secrecy. Renowned for their lethal precision, Death Troopers were masters of close-quarters combat and long-range marksmanship, making them versatile and deadly in any scenario. They were usually armed with a mix of SE-14R blaster pistols, E-11D blaster carbines, and DLT-19 heavy blasters. Their recruitment criteria was also extremely strict. Death Troopers underwent strict selection, requiring to have been at least 1.95 meters in height, and candidates also faced surgical enhancements that elevated their strength, speed, and stamina to superhuman levels. In the field, they operated in small units, with each member focusing on a specific expertise. So with that, these troopers symbolize the Empire's most fearsome and enigmatic forces, as well deserving so considering their sick design. Genuinely, they are my favorite Stormtrooper variant design to date. Let me know yours in the comment below. I'm always curious to hear your thoughts, but it's hard to beat the Death Trooper. This picture was my desktop wallpaper for the longest time, and I still love it. The Dark Troopers were advanced battle droids or infantry exoskeletons designed with heavy Stormtrooper-like plating, enhanced weaponry, and jump packs. The Empire's Project Dark Trooper was split into 3 phases, each building on the previous one. Phase 1 Dark Trooper was the earliest version, a skeletal droid made of lightsaber-resistant frick. It was equipped with a vibrosword attached to its right arm, a blast shield on its left, and a small jump pack for short bursts of speed to enhance melee strikes. Primarily used as a sentry, it had visible power cords and couplings, which were key vulnerabilities. Phase 2 Dark Trooper was a more advanced unit, outfitted with armor plating, a jump pack, and an assault cannon capable of firing 400 plasma shells and 20 missiles without reloading. Additionally, it carried the Arc Caster, a weapon that unleashed powerful bolts of electricity. This version became the most commonly deployed combat unit. Phase 3 Dark Trooper was the most powerful and ambitious design. This model was significantly larger and stronger than the Phase 2. Intended to serve as the next generation of Stormtrooper armor, it could be operated as an autonomous droid or worn as a battle exosuit. Only 3 prototypes were created, and it was never fully deployed before the fall of the Empire. The Dark Troopers seen in The Mandalorian are now supposedly fully developed Phase 3 Dark Troopers, however, they don't have the function to be worn as an exoskeleton and are droids instead. They had built-in rocket boosters allowing them to fly in space and in atmosphere, and their armor was impenetrable by blaster fire. The Dark Trooper program established Dark Troopers as the Empire's most powerful foot soldiers, combining their formidable combat capabilities with an intimidating appearance to reinforce their dominance on the battlefield. Flame Troopers were specialized units within the Imperial ranks, trained to wield flamethrowers for devastating close-quarters combat. Outfitted with reinforced armor capable of withstanding heat, these troopers were equipped with flamethrower packs that carried an ample supply of flammable gel to unleash streams of fire. Flame Troopers were invaluable in missions requiring the destruction of structures or elimination of hazardous flora and fauna. Incinerator Troopers were an even more specialized subset of Flame Troopers, distinguished by their red-striped armor. Unlike the Flame Trooper, whose focus was more on flora and fauna, the Incinerator Troopers' focus was on live combat. Incinerator Troopers excelled in urban warfare, clearing buildings, trenches, and tight spaces with enemies in them. Their armor included enhanced thermal shielding, ensuring they could operate in the intense heat of their own flames. So basically like an executioner from hell, burning people alive. Truly sadistic, the people that signed up for this job. TIE Fighter pilots were the lifeblood of the Imperial Navy, manning the Empire's vast fleets of TIE Fighters for space combat. From TIE Fighters, TIE Bombers, or even the TIE Crawler, those guys manned the cockpits. Clad in black, pressurized flight suits equipped with life support systems, these pilots could operate in the vacuum of space for extended periods. Their helmets were also fitted with advanced targeting displays and oxygen supplies. Internally, in the Empire, they were referred to as coffin jockeys due to their high mortality rate, as the TIE Fighters' lack of shields made them rather invulnerable. Their comeback to being called coffin jockey was to call the regular Stormtrooper groundhogs. Yeah, you tell me if this was a great comeback. I don't really think so, to be honest. AT-AT pilots were an elite unit selected exclusively from battle-hardened soldiers to commandeer the fearsome AT-AT Walker. Their personal arsenal included a blaster pistol, thermal detonators, and grenades. Since the complex AT-AT could not be entrusted to droids, pilots underwent rigorous simulation training, making them experts in operating the massive walker. Because of that, they had a sense of superiority stemming from the perception of the AT-AT as an unbeatable war machine, with its mere presence instilling fear and intimidation. AT-AT pilots wore specialized insulated suits designed to protect them. Their uniform consisted of a fully white, insulated jumpsuit paired with a reinforced helmet, and a chest-mounted life support system. Their design is very similar to the TIE pilots except for a few details in the markings. Most notably, they appeared, of course, during the Battle of Hoth, sitting in the AT-AT cockpit in front of General Veers. Special Forces troopers, most famously represented by Inferno Squad, were the elite of the Imperial military, tasked with high-risk, high-impact missions. They usually conducted sabotage, infiltration, and assassination missions in any environment, being highly trained for any scenario. Inferno Squad itself was a small, hand-picked unit led by Commander Iden Versio, known for their versatility and exceptional skill. Their black armor incorporated advanced tactical enhancements including stealth capabilities and built-in survival systems. Though their appearance didn't differ much from the TIE pilot's outfit, Special Forces troopers were armed with a range of weapons, from SE-44C blaster pistols, DLT-19X sniper rifles, to TL-50 heavy repeater blasters, which they mastered. Most notably, you can see them during the 2017 Battlefront 2 campaign and follow their somewhat lackluster story through it. Purge troopers were elite Imperial soldiers specifically trained and equipped to hunt Jedi and other Force-sensitive individuals. Acting as the Inquisitorius' primary enforcers, they were deployed in the aftermath of Order 66 to help eliminate the remaining Jedi across the galaxy. Purge troopers were armed with an array of weapons tailored for anti-Jedi combat, such as electrostaffs, shock batons, or blaster rifles equipped with high-yield projectiles. Purge troopers were initially comprised of enhanced clones, but over time, they were replaced by conscripted recruits subjected to intense training and indoctrination. They most notably appeared heavily in the Jedi Fallen Order game series, and they certainly have a spot as a sick-looking enforcer of the Empire. Shadowtroopers were a covert and highly specialized variant of Stormtroopers equipped with advanced stealth technology. Their black armor was equipped with a portable cloaking device rendering them almost invisible. Thus, they could appear out of thin air in front of unsuspecting troops and gun them down. Additionally, they utilized sound dampening tech and helmet systems that allowed them to operate silently and unseen, making them perfect for infiltration and ambush. Shadowtroopers were often deployed for critical missions, such as sabotaging rebel bases or retrieving sensitive intelligence. They operated in small squads and overwhelmed enemies through surprise attacks utilizing blaster rifles, flash grenades, and jetpacks. They are quite popular because, just like Black Spider-Man and Black Superman, Black Stormtroopers just look great. Hence, they're almost always a skin option for Stormtroopers in any Star Wars game ever. Now for some of the lesser-known troopers, we'll speedrun through these. Tank troopers were specialized operators tasked with piloting the Empire's heavy ground vehicles, such as the Occupier combat assault tank seen on Jedha. Tank troopers wore white plastoid armor inspired by Coastal Defender Stormtroopers. Their distinctive helmets were shared with AT-ACT pilots and Juggernaut pilots as well. Combat drivers were Imperial personnel responsible for operating a variety of ground and atmospheric vehicles, including speeder bikes, AT-ST walkers, and cargo transports. Their armor featured lighter plating compared to standard Stormtroopers, offering greater mobility and flexibility for piloting tasks. Their helmets were streamlined with wide visors for enhanced visibility. Swamp Troopers, also known as Mud Troopers, were trained to operate in humid and waterlogged environments. Though not officially part of the Stormtrooper Corps, they did often fight alongside them. Their armor was designed with advanced filtration systems to protect against the toxic gases and other hazards commonly found in swamp ecosystems. They also wore rebreathers for navigating through murky waters or low-oxygen environments. They appeared in Solo: A Star Wars Story, fighting on Mimban alongside the Mimban Stormtroopers. Elite Squad Troopers were an experimental division within the Imperial military, designed to integrate conscripted soldiers into the ranks alongside remnants of clone forces. Most famously led by Crosshair of Clone Force 99, these troopers were distinguished by their black Phase 2 clone armor, symbolizing their elite status. They got killed pretty fast, though, by Crosshair in the finale of Season 1. Sea Troopers, also known as Aquatic Assault Troopers, were a specialized branch of the Empire's forces trained for underwater operations and aquatic combat. Their armor was sealed and pressurized to withstand the depths of oceans and equipped with rebreather systems and fins for underwater maneuverability. Armed with spear-like blaster rifles and waterproof thermal detonators, and were deployed on oceanic worlds such as Moncala. Space Troopers were heavy-duty stormtroopers equipped for combat in the vacuum of space. Outfitted with reinforced pressurized armor and jetpacks for zero-gravity maneuverability, these troopers could operate in boarding actions and assault incoming ships. Their armor included oxygen supplies, thermal regulation systems, and magnetic boots for gripping onto surfaces in zero-G environments. They can be seen briefly on the outside of the Death Star even. Riot Control Troopers were specialized units designed to suppress uprisings, maintain order, and break up large crowds in urban and industrial settings. They acted as a visible show of force, using their weapons to disperse mobs and subdue any agitators. Lava Troopers were black armored stormtroopers stationed at Darth Vader's fortress on Mustafar. Their heat-shielded armor allowed them to operate in the planet's extreme conditions. Armed with E-11 blaster rifles, they guarded and defended the fortress from potential attacks alongside Magma Troopers and Crimson Troopers. Magma Troopers wore specialized stormtrooper armor designed for high-temperature environments, featuring a respirator connected to a backpack to protect against volcanic ash and gases. They were armed with weapons such as the E-11 medium blaster rifle, T-21 light repeating blaster, and DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle. They can be seen in the 2015 Battlefront when you play on Solost. Crimson Stormtroopers were elite Imperial troops specially trained to operate in volcanic environments. Unlike Lava Troopers and Magma Troopers, they were distinguished by their striking crimson red armor, designed to keep them cool during combat, and were most likely Disney's inspiration for the later Sith Trooper of the First Order. Troopers were elite soldiers in the Stormtrooper Corps who operated as small, highly trained squads specializing in infiltration, sabotage, and high-risk missions. Each member of a Trooper unit was equipped with personalized armor and gear tailored to their specific role, such as sniping, demolitions, or heavy weapons. One notable unit was Task Force 99, a squad of Troopers commanded by Sergeant Creel. Rocket Launcher Troopers were a specialized variant of Imperial Stormtroopers equipped with heavy weaponry designed for anti-vehicle and fortification purposes. Armed primarily with rocket launchers, they provided firepower capable of taking down armored targets and entrenched positions. Their armor featured additional padding and reinforcements to protect against the shockwaves and heat generated by their weaponry. Stormtrooper Grenadiers were specialized Imperial troopers armed with grenade launchers capable of firing Class A thermal detonators. They were distinguished by a red pauldron, a black bandolier across their chest, and a red symbol on their right shoulder plate. Storm Commandos, also known as Imperial Commandos or Shadow Scouts, were the elite special forces of the Imperial military. Operating in small squads of 3 to 6, they emphasized stealth and covert operations over brute force. Their training focused on covert assaults, precision strikes, and targeted missions, including capturing enemy leaders, destroying key facilities, and assassinations. And that's it. Every Stormtrooper variant there is. Let me know if I missed any, and check out my other videos.